Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Iman Monet and this is going to be the third part of this series talking about my depression story. This is the final part of the story. Every video from this point on, after this video, is pretty much going to be my treatment and my recovery. In this video, I'm going to get into my suicide story. I had 2 suicide attempts, so I'm going to get into both of those on this video. I have a full page of notes, so let's go ahead and get started. So I graduated in 2017. I graduated in the summer of 2017 from UCF. And after school, after I came back to Jacksonville, Florida from Orlando, it was a lot of adjustments for me. So as I was making those adjustments, I ran into a few issues dealing with my depression and my anxiety. Actually, the first time that my first suicide attempt was actually, I was in Jacksonville, and it was actually the day after a big event. One of my cousins in Carolina, he had just completed boot camp or training for the military, and he had just completed that. So me, my parents, my sisters, my cousins, uncles, aunts, grandparents had all, went to go celebrate him and him completing boot camp in the military. So we were all just celebrating him and going to see him, being supportive. So I was completely surrounded by family. It was a great time that day. After we went to go see him, to the ceremony and everything like that. And then we got dinner and everything in Carolina, and we came back that same night. And I remember when we came back, I got a wave of the depression slipped over me. And the thing is about depression, it really comes in waves for some people. For me, I was fine all of that day, but when we got back that night, it was on me like really heavy, and I was just contemplating, thinking back about school and things like that, or my career, the adjustment that I was making, switching into my career, feeling like I'm not good enough, feeling like I'm not meeting expectations. And really that night, after being surrounded by family that whole day, after smiling and enjoying everyone's company that entire day, that night the depression fell on me so heavy that I attempted suicide. Now in these videos, I'm not going to go into detail on what I did, but I did attempt to end my life that night, and to no success, of course. I woke up the next morning, and I'm trying to think if I'm pretty sure I did not. I did not tell my parents about that time. That time I did not tell my parents about it. It was something that I kept to myself. I told my boyfriend about it. He was very concerned. He wanted to tell my parents. He wanted to tell other people, but I kind of held it over his head, like don't tell type of thing. So he was put in a predicament with that. I was in around October of 2017. Now, if you move into November, in my other video, I told you about how I had a big panic attack after one of my church services. So that happened in October with my first attempt. Then in November, that's when I had a big panic attack, a big anxiety attack. That was in November with my mom. And then now we move forward to, let's go to like December. December is another time where it really got heavy for me. In 2017, it's around Christmas time. Anybody with depression or anxiety, around the holidays, sometimes it can be very, very, very stressful for you during the holiday times, trying to cheer up when you're dealing with depression. And so I remember my boyfriend was in town because he's an athlete. So he was in town for the holidays on winter break. And he was in town, and we were celebrating. It was actually Christmas Day. We were celebrating Christmas, enjoying family. I was at my aunt's house. I remember being at my aunt's house. We were celebrating, having a good day, eating, enjoying family, presents, everything like that you do on Christmas. And I remember I found something something in my boyfriend's phone, looking through Snapchat and things like that, and I saw something that I did not want to see. I saw something that I didn't want to see, and I remember me and my boyfriend got into it on Christmas Day, but I'm trying to play it cool. I'm trying to play it calm, like, let's just get through Christmas and then we can discuss it after. And I'm just trying to, keep a smile on my face and, get through the rest of this day. And I can just remember my parents actually end up staying the night. They stayed the night at my aunt's house. And once it hit about 11 p.m., I decided, I'm going to go ahead and go. I actually didn't even know my parents stayed the night at my aunt's house till the next day. I ended up leaving around 11 o'clock, and I was like, I'm going to go ahead and go home. Me and my boyfriend, we left. He went to his place. I went to mine. But we basically kind of decided, at that point, I was like, I saw what I saw on your phone, and I don't want any parts. Like, I really was like done and overwhelmed and depressed and everything else. And I just had a big panic attack that night. I remember coming back home. I laid in bed. It's probably till about 3 or so in the morning, about 3 or something o'clock in the morning. And I remember I just got up out of my bed. I was like, I have to leave my house. I cannot be in my house anymore. I can't be in my bed anymore because my thoughts are racing. My mind's racing. This is already after that first suicide attempt that I had back in October. It's now December, and my thoughts are going crazy. My mind's racing. I'm getting those, that soft voice saying, just end it. You don't have to do this. You can just take the easy way out. I got to get out of the house. So I got out of the house. I left. I'm driving, and I remember calling my parents, and well, actually, my parents called me. My parents called me and said, we're about to come back to the house. And I'm like, come back to the house? What? They're like, we're about to come back to the house. Are you home? Everything like that. We have people coming over, so just make sure you're dressed. And I was hysterical. I was crying. I was emotional. I was going through every emotion at that time, and I would just remember being on the phone with them and telling them like, oh, I'm not home right now. And they're freaking out. They're like, well, where are you? What are you doing? It's like early in the morning. I had left late that night and had been gone all morning. It's probably like 6 in the morning at this time. I left probably around 3 o'clock or something like that. They're telling me to, come back home so we can talk about it. We can get your nerves calm together, everything like that. So after that big episode, a few days later, they had basically set up a time for a meeting for me to go talk to my bishop and first lady at my church. And with all of us to basically, talk about, what's going on with Iman, because it's becoming evident that I'm going through a lot. I'm dealing with a lot of stress. I'm not handling it the best way that I should. So this is in 2017 where we basically get a meeting, and I talk with my first lady and I talk with my bishop, and I tell them, explain to them what's going on, and they talk with me through it, pray with me, give me some motivation, and basically give me some tips to kind of work through it. At the time, they told me, like, Iman, you probably should not do this relationship right now because it's not working. You need to wait till he comes back home for good, not when it's long distance and where he's home for good. And so again, I listened for like 3-4 months, and after that, we got back together. So let's go into 2018. 2018, I was really just trying to make that adjustment, and I was really starting to get the hang of, after after undergrad, I was starting to make that adjustment, and I was doing kind of good because I was making money at that time. I had a good job, and I liked my job. I had put my applications in around December of 2018. I had submitted my applications for physical therapy school, so those were in. I felt a big relief after I had those in. So I was like, I'm good to go. I got my application in. I got me a good job. Now all I gotta do is wait to hear back from the school, see if I got in, and then go from there. Everything's pretty good at this point. Me and my boyfriend had started talking again around the end of 2018, and everything was pretty good. Nothing too bad. He actually graduated in the summer of 2018. He actually, the fall of 2018, that football season, he ended up getting an injury. So he injured himself and he was unable to play. So that's how he became eligible for one more year of football. So that happened, and I'm at this point, I'm like, okay, so you're gonna have to be away from me for another year. And it's just like, okay, I had enough strength to hold you to this point, and then it's like, okay, well, now I'm gonna have to play. I'm gonna be away for another year. So I had to make that adjustment emotionally, like, okay, he's gonna be away even longer than what I expected, and I'm thinking he's gonna be back home, everything's gonna be back good, and we'll be able to just work from there. And it did not happen that way due to his injury, so he ended up having to stay away even longer. Let's go ahead and fast forward to 2019. 2019, that's around, let's say, around March of 2019, I started to hear back from some of the schools that I applied to. I didn't get into any school. I did not get into physical therapy school for that application cycle. So that was a bummer. That was a big bummer. But at the same time, I knew that I was dealing a lot with depression and anxiety. And in the back of my mind, I kind of knew that even if I got accepted, it probably would have been too much on my plate at that time. So even though I was very bummed and kind of sad about not getting into physical therapy school, I think it was for the better, because I would have not been able to handle the workload mentally at that time. So it kind of was a blessing in disguise that I did not get accepted for that cycle, because I just would not have been prepared to handle the workload dealing with my depression as well. So I didn't get in. I found that out. So I continued to, at this point, I retook my GRE. I took that again. I also started to get even more observation hours. I started doing more observing. I went to more clinics, got more recommendations, letters, things like that. I just started to prepare my application for the next cycle. Let's go ahead and push it to summer of 2019. Summer of 2019, it started to get rough. Let's go ahead and say that. Summer of 2019, it started to get a little bit more rough with me dealing with the depression. I started to get comfortable with my job that I'm at now. So it was, again, that cycle of getting up every day, going to work, dealing with my classes. I was taking certain classes, and I just remember the actual stress of still doing the long distance relationship. It really started to weigh on me, because it's like I wanted to be a good supportive girlfriend. I wanted to be there through him with his transition, through his injury, and getting to play another year and everything like that. And he had a lot going on, and I was trying to be there for him, and I was also trying to somewhat be there for myself, and it just became a lot. I remember going to the store, actually going to the store to get what I was going to get to kill myself on, somewhere in the summer. This was probably around beginning of April. I remember going to the store, getting what I needed to get. I'm not going to say what it is, because it is something that's readily available, and I'm not trying to spark any type of ideas to do this. So I remember going to the store, being in the store, just contemplating like what I'm going to get to do in my life. And I remember my dad calling me while I'm in the store, and he's like, hey, where are you? What are you doing? Just calling me, checking up on me. After the list of events that I've listed through, my dad started to call me a lot more, check up on me a lot more. He started, to monitor me, making sure, I'm good. What am I doing? Where am I at? And so I remember he called me while I was in the store and, asked me, what am I doing? I'm like, oh, just getting something from the store, trying to downplay it. And I remember I put it, what my things that I was going to get, I put it back down, and I was about to leave. And I was like, no, you know what? I'm not going to use it right now. I'm not going to use it right now, but let me just get it just in case I have another day like this where I'm feeling sad. If I have another day like this where I'm feeling depressed, let me just get it, and I'll have it just in case, just in case I need it. I'll have it prepared and I can just go from there. I won't have to worry about running to the store. This is my mindset, you guys. This is literally, I'm thinking, let me save this for later. This is my mindset. So, you know, I'm really dealing with a mental illness, heading pushed back later into the month of April. I sing in my choir at my church. So the night before my second suicide attempt, I had choir rehearsal. So I went to choir rehearsal. Everything was good. You probably wouldn't suspect a thing. I sing, did what I had to do, came back the next day. I remember I posted on Instagram that night, that Thursday night before. I posted on Instagram, got some likes, everything like that, and moved into Friday the next day. I wanted to end my life. So yeah, that happened. Moving into the next day, that Friday, I remember waking up that morning. I was actually on FaceTime with my boyfriend at the time. My house was full of people. Both of my parents were here. My little sister was here. It was on a Friday and it was the summer, so she was home from school because it was summertime. And it was a house full of people. Everyone was there. I was on the phone, I was on FaceTime, and I was also I remember I was working on homework. I was doing homework at the time on FaceTime. There was other people going on in the house. It was a lot of things going on. And one thing about it, when you have a mental illness, the type of thinking, I remember I did therapy, so I was able to find out the different type of manipulative thinking that patterns that I have. And one of the thinking patterns that I had at the time dealing with my depression was black and white thinking. The black and white thinking is where you see everything as good or you completely see everything as bad. There is no gray. It's everything is black or everything is white. There's no gray area. And I was dealing with that type of thinking. And so it was either everything was completely good or everything was completely bad. That's how you can see in some areas I would be with my family, I would be enjoying myself, I would be smiling, laughing, having a good time. And then minutes later, hours later, I'm in a completely stressed out, sad, a really down time. I'm having a really hard time and it switches easily. And so I was dealing with that type of thinking pattern. So I just remember I was doing my homework, I was on FaceTime, and whatever reason, that voice, Iman, you don't have to do this assignment. Iman, there's people in your house, they don't know what's going on with you. They don't care about how you feel. Nobody knows that you're still dealing with depression 3 years later. You talk to your bishop, you talk to your first lady, they prayed for you, you're still going through it. You pray, you talk to God, you're still going through it. You've been talking about this for years. You've been dealing with depression for years. This is the voice that I'm hearing in my head. God doesn't care about you. How could he care about you when you're going on 2.5, almost 3 years with dealing with this depression and you're still dealing with it? Iman, just take your life. Just in your life, nobody will care. Nobody will really care about it, You won't have to worry about grad school. You won't have to worry about finishing assignments. You won't have to worry about your career. You won't have to worry about having a happy family. You won't have to worry about having a good life. Just end it right here. That's all you have to do. Just go ahead and end your life. And I remember being on FaceTime and getting up in my room and, going ahead and doing the act of ending my life right there. And I remember being on FaceTime and my boyfriend's calling out to me like, Mom, because I had been away from FaceTime for a few minutes. And I just remember him being like, Iman, where are you? What are you doing? Come back to the screen. Like, what are you doing? And I just remember coming back and I was like, I gotta go. I can't talk right now. And so I had took a very, very, very extremely high dose of something that I'm not going to say, but I took an extremely high dose of it. And I was just going to, take it and let it take its course, go to bed, and hopefully not wake up. That was the mindset that I had. That was the plan that I had for the rest, that was my plan, to go ahead and just end it all. And so I took it, and I remember it's not as dramatic as the movies. For me, it wasn't like dramatic like the movies. I wasn't in tears, I wasn't crying. I had already made up my mind that I was going to do it. This was meditated, because remember, a few weeks ago I had already got the supplies that I needed to do what I needed to do. And I actually had 2 supplies of it. I was going to do both. I only got through the first one, but my plan was to do both of them. I was planning to take both doses of it, and it was an extremely large amount. I only got through the first. I never made it to the second of it, the second bottle of it. I only got through the first. And I just remember taking it, and I went ahead and I laid down. I took a nap, laid down, and thinking that's gonna be the end of it. And I woke up. So I wake up, I'm like, man, I'm supposed to be here. Like, I was really upset. I'm like, dang, why am I still here? Like, I really had, guys, I was dealing with a mental illness. I really had it in my mind that this was it for me. So I woke up and I'm like, dog. So I wake up. At this point, there's nobody home. I'm here by myself. So everybody want to be there when I'm going through it, but when I wake up, nobody's there. So I wake up, I'm like, oh, dang. So this probably happened about like 10 o'clock. I took it at like 10 o'clock that morning, and I took my nap. I woke up, and it was probably around maybe 1 o'clock, I want to say, probably like around 1 o'clock. I waited like 2 more hours. I just remember, like, I started to feel the effects of what I took, and my stomach is in pain. I am in pain, and I hadn't really eaten that day, so I couldn't throw up. So I remember taking fluids. I was trying to drink a lot of fluids and trying to make myself throw up. I was trying to make myself throw up to stop the stomach pain, because clearly I ain't finna go nowhere. I'm here. So I started trying to make myself throw up. I'm taking the fluids, and I just remember going in my bathroom, trying to make myself throw up, trying to make myself vomit, because I hadn't really eaten. So I was trying to get some of that stuff out of my system, and my stomach was hurting really bad. I went for about 2 hours like that. And after about 2 hours, I just remember I was just laid out. I was just laid out on the floor, and I was like, Iman, you need to call your parents. You need to call your dad, and you need to tell him. So I remember calling my dad, and I was telling him, like, Dad, like, I tried to kill myself. I'm like, I'm going through it. And he was like, right now. He was like, you need me to come? And he was like, yeah, I need you to come. I need you to come get me. I went ahead and took the such and such. I took it, and he's like, oh man, Iman, I'm coming. He's like, I'm coming. He was like, I'm a little further away. I'm gonna call your mom and tell your mom to come get you. So my stepmom came, and I remember her coming in the house. She got there first because my dad was farther away from her. So he called her and told her to come get me. I remember she came. She found me on the bathroom floor, sprawled out on the bathroom floor, laid out, throwing up everywhere, everywhere. It was throw up. And she got me, and she was like, get some stuff. We're gonna have to go to the emergency room. We go to the emergency room. I'm actually gonna probably stop the video here because I don't want it to get too long, and I'm gonna talk to you about my time in the hospital and my time in the psych ward, guys. I had to go to the psych ward, my time on Baker Act. I'm gonna tell you all about that in the next video because I don't want this video to get too long. So just continue to look out. The next part of the video is going to be my time through the hospital and everything like that. So you want to continue to stay tuned, continue to look for my videos. If you haven't already, make sure you do comment, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video, share this video, stay connected with me, be on the lookout because it's only going up from here as more treatment videos, more recovery videos coming up soon.